What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing possibly the stupidest theme team that I've ever put together given the meta I was playing in, and that's because I decided to run a triple pseudo legendary dragon team, with two of those dragons being double weak to fairy in the Galar Cup, which if you look at the rankings on PvPoke, 4 of the top 7 Pokemon are fairy types. Now just to sort of defend myself, I didn't look into which Pokemon were allowed for the Galar Cup before this. I haven't played any of the main series games. I also didn't look on PvPoke first or watch any of the top Galar Cup teams that other content creators have put out because I was very busy yesterday. I got home super late and I actually didn't get to bed until about 5 AM, so I basically just went in completely blind this morning, and honestly, despite the team, I actually beat a ton of fairy types with this team, and honestly I still don't understand how I won some of those games. They were crazy, but unfortunately whilst I got off to a great start with this team, I forgot to record one of my better sets, and then I ended on a very poor run going 1-4 and then 0-5, which unfortunately I did remember to record both of those sets, and of course in some of those battles I was just hard counted. There wasn't much I could do, but there were definitely loads of battles that were winnable. I just made so many silly mistakes, which it happens. Sometimes you have one of those days where you just keep on messing up, but it's just super disappointing to end on such a bad run because you kind of just want to go in straight away and redeem yourself, but you can't because you run out of sets. But anyways, since I forgot to record one of the sets in this video, it will be slightly shorter than usual. But anyways, with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. What has been your favorite Pokemon to run in the Galar Cup so far? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so going into the first battle, Hydreigon into Diggersby. Now, I will mention for the first few battles, I'm running Brick Break on my Como-O. I was initially running Brick Break. I didn't really want it. I wanted to run Close Combat as Como-O was my closer, but unfortunately I was thinking like, I don't really want to play the TM game where I end up with like Flamethrower or Boom Burst or something. Luckily for me, after one TM, I did get Close Combat, so I just stuck with it. But either way, first few battles, going to be running Brick Break until I decided that Brick Break was just way too underwhelming. I wanted a better closing move like Close Combat, but either way, the opponent actually just baited with a Fire Punch there, meaning I grabbed a shield advantage up against a Diggersby in the lead, which is very nice because Hydreigon is a very glassy Pokemon. It should not be getting a shield advantage up against a Diggersby, but the opponent's going to come in with a Galar and Weezing, and this is where Brick Break is actually pretty useful for us because I can just go and drop their defense. Of course, that did very little damage, but now these Astonishes, they are chunking, and this might force the opponent to swap out of this matchup. They go for a Brutal Swing, and they swap into Toxapex, and this is a great matchup for Dragapult. You can see we are going to resist both the poison and the water type moves, and as well we can drop their attack with the Breaking Swipe. I'm going to farm and throw a Shadow Ball just before they make it to the Sludge Wave, and the opponent no shields, and that should be game over. The opponent does just barely outpace me to the Charge Move. I think they're one away from back to back, but it doesn't matter. We can just back the Charge Move, swap into Como-O, coming in, winning CMP with the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw grabs the final shield, and if this is another Brutal Swing, this actually won't get the KO here. So Brutal Swing doesn't take us out, and we get a simultaneous KO. We still had the Dragapult in the back, and even if they farmed me down there, we still had a Breaking Swipe loaded, could have thrown it straight away, and I'm able to take that game. But anyways, GG to the opponent there. Into next battle, you can see a Whimsicott in the lead, so awful for us. Gonna say swap into my Dragapult, and I need switch advantage, but also I can't really afford to go down 2 shields in this matchup, so this is really tricky for me. I'm hoping the opponent will just let my next Breaking Swipe go through. I think they are just one turn faster to the second foul play here, so unfortunately can't go for 4 Astonishes and throw the Charge Move. Breaking Swipe once again debuffs their attack though, so here I possibly could have just no shielded and come in with my Como-O, but instead I'm going for a full farm down, and it backfires massively as the opponent still reaches a Charge Move. It's not the foul play, but even a double debuffed, double resisted superpower gets the KO there. We come in, we get the Poison Jam farm down. They actually come in with the Whimsicott, and this is a matchup where having Close Combat, this would just get the KO. But unfortunately, Brick Break does very little damage, and now I just have to fully sacrifice my Hydreigon. Moonblast gets the KO. We come back in with the Como-O, we get the Poison Jam farm down, and they've got a Pokemon in the back where Hydreigon would have been able to do pretty well up against, obviously resisting the fire damage, but unfortunately, a Brick Break does not do much damage up against the Ninetales. The opponent will make it to a Weatherball, which is resisted damage, but it gets the KO, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But GG's to opponent there. Into next battle, we can see a Diggersby in the lead once again. So we are going to see the opponent actually is going to farm up to a potential Scorching Sands this time around. Instead of just going for the Fire Punch, we go for a Brutal Swing, grabbing a shield there. Probably because the opponent realizes if they get a debuff with a Scorching Sands, they'd rather shield the one that wasn't debuffed. And they do debuff my attack this time around. So again, just going to fire off a Brutal Swing. The opponent actually double shields their Diggersby, which is a very interesting play. We're now going to come in with the Como-O, and I'm going to let the No, I'm going to shield the first move. I realize they're probably unlikely to bait the first time around. They do unfortunately debuff my attack, but we are running close combat this time around, so it doesn't really matter. Close combat will still get the KO. I'm going to overfarm just slightly. I don't really want to put myself into range where a Fire Punch will get the KO, and they're going to come in with a Toxapex. We swap into Dragapult, and they come in with Galar and Weezing, so it's actually the same team as the first battle. I'm going to shield up the Brutal Swing here. I can now go for a slight overfarm, firing off the Shadow Ball, and Shadow Ball will of course be enough damage to take out the Galar and Weezing. They come back in with the Toxapex, and I'm committing to the Shadow Ball, and we just about get there in time. Shadow Ball is going to connect. It's going to do big damage up against the Toxapex, and of course from this range, even a Brine probably will take us out despite being resisted, but it doesn't matter. And in neutral situations here, or sorry, in matchups where close combat is resisted, it's still going to do slightly more damage than a Dragon Claw, so I fire off the close combat. We get the KO up against the Toxapex, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there into next battle, another Diggersby in the lead. So I will say the first set I did, I think I saw like 4 Diggersby out of 5, so a bit annoying, but either way, the opponent's going to make a very nice catch. I didn't even see them swap out there, but they swap into Clefable, unfortunately catching a resisted Brutal Swing. We're going to come in with the combo, of course, running the Poison Jab fast move. The opponent full sent a Moonblast there, meaning I can overfarm just a little bit. I was hoping that would get the KO, unfortunately it doesn't, but I do have a second Dragon Claw which I can throw. Dragon Claw gets the KO there. But unfortunately, it means I come out with 0 residual energy, meaning the opponent can fire off a charge move and take me out there. This one going to wait out the switch card, come in with the Hydreigon, and the opponent is going to back a ton of energy and then come in with a Shadow Galar and Weezing. And unfortunately, we're already down a shield. I'm going to use my final shield here. There's just no way we can win this, even if we landed a Shadow Ball, which unfortunately we're not even able to get to. I think that Diggersby is still very healthy, so either way, it wouldn't really matter. But the opponent can just safely shield up a Breaking Swipe, fire off the Brutal Swing, get the KO there, and at this point, there's no point throwing a charge move. I would have preferred to run the Flash Cannon as coverage, but again, charge TM situation, kind of want to save them for the upcoming Shadow event, so I didn't use any. But either way, into next battle, another Diggersby in the lead. GG's to their previous opponent, by the way. Gonna go for the Brutal Swing once again, throwing just before they make it to the Scorching Sands. And this time we're actually going to shield up the Scorching Sands, and we are going to be able to outpace them once again to the next charge. We're gonna fire it off just before they make it to Scorching Sands number 2. And Brutal Swing is gonna be no shielded this time around. So at this point, the opponent actually baits with a Fire Punch, huge mistake, and then we're able to get a full Dragon Breath farm down. I'm not sure if they did stutter lag there. You can see we did stutter on our end, but either way, they come in with a Togetic, and now I'm going to go for a Brutal Swing. Actually pretty happy that we landed it, because a Dragon Claw is going to do even less damage, and we end up grabbing a shield here from the opponent. At this point, I'm just going to no shield this. The opponent fires off the Aerial Ace. That actually doesn't get the KO. They get the Fairy Wind farm down, and it's still a very tricky situation to be in. Going to come in with the Dragapult here, and the opponent is going to throw. I think they are 2 away from the next charge move. I'm 1 away from my charge move, but instead I'm going to go for the Astonished, then swap, make the catch onto my Hydreigon here, preserving the energy on my Dragapult. We're going to go for the Astonished farm down, and they've got a Kanto Ninetales in the back, so we're going straight for Breaking Swipe here. I'm not certain if a Shadow Ball would get the KO, so instead, fishing for the debuff, we get the debuff, and that means that a Weather Ball wouldn't get the KO. They have to fire off a harder hitting charge move, and as a result, we win the CMP tie. Shadow Ball gets the KO, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there into next battle. Going to see a Shadow Quagsire in the lead. So finally not a Diggersby. Not really a good matchup for us anyways, but either way, going to no shield the first move. I basically just sacrificed the Hydreigon in a lot of situations, letting the move go through, hoping we could tank it. And we do tank it. We grab a shield advantage. Now we're going to come in with the Dragapult, and the opponent actually comes in with a Togedemaru. And this is fine with me, of course. We are going to resist everything, but I'm still going to shield anyways, because a Wild Charge would do a lot of damage there. Unfortunately, they do bait with a Fell Stinger, but they overfarm here, meaning I can make it to back-to-back Breaking Swipes, and despite being resisted damage, Breaking Swipe from this range will actually get the KO up against the Togedemaru. They're going to come in with a Mana Buzz, and this one I'm going to throw on the potential CMP tie, firing off a Breaking Swipe. Breaking Swipe is going to be no-shielded. It gets a debuff though, and we're able to make it to another Breaking Swipe, and this time it is a CMP tie. So Breaking Swipe number 2, once again debuffing their attack. That's huge for me, because now if I come in with my Combo O, I actually don't need to shield a charge move, as an Aerial Ace is going to be double debuffed. Aerial Ace already not the strongest move. Mana Buzz, not a particularly attack-weighted Pokemon, so I let that go through. They come in with the Shadow Quagsire, and honestly at this point I just completely forgot how much energy they had. The fact that they would go for a Mud Bomb straight away kind of worried me, so I swap into my Hydreigon there, and Unfortunately, the opponent doesn't throw a charge move. I have to throw straight away now as they come out with the Mud Bomb loaded, but the Mandibuzz was still loaded on energy and they just barely outpaced me to the charge move. And as a result, Aerial Ace, not debuffed this time around, does get the KO up against my Comma O, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But GG's to opponent there, into next battle, can see a Shadow Golurk in the lead, and unfortunately, despite having the type advantage, look at the damage from these Mud Slaps. I'm going to no-shield, hoping we live the Shadow Punch, which we do. Now I'm going to swap into my Dragapult, get the Astonish Farm down, banking that Brutal Swing for the end game here, and we're going to shield this up. Of course, the opponent is going to go for a Rock Slide. They're actually not running Night Slash, and that is very interesting. I'm not sure what Pokemon that you want Rock Slide for specifically. Of course, there are a lot of Fairy type Pokemon in this meta, so maybe some neutral coverage, but I think this does also learn Iron Head or Heavy Slam, one of the two. I think they're both basically the same move. But either way, going to let the next move go through, come in with my Comma O, and it's another Fairy type Pokemon, but this time this is a lot more manageable for us, because first of all, they are going to take neutral damage from the fighting typing, so we go straight for close combat, get the one shot, and the opponent is just going to concede the match. So GG's to opponent there, into the next battle. You can see Hydreigon into Diggersby once again, so it is what it is. The opponent's going to say swap into a Shadow Machamp. We're going to come in with the Dragapult, and I'm just going to shield this. If the opponent baits here, they will actually reach another charge move, but they full send the Stone Edge. So if they do make it to another move, this is just going to be a cross chop. So I'm going to no shield this. Cross chop, even double resisted, does get us into the yellow health range. You can see I've got very good IVs on my Dragapult, but unfortunately it doesn't get to a very high CP, close to 1500. I think one more power up and it would go to like 1502 CP, which is very frustrating. It's a high rank for the Ultra League though, so I built it for Great League temporarily until I get a better one for Great League. Then we swap, and unfortunately the opponent either predicts that play or gets a bit fortunate by swapping at the same time. We come in with the Hydreigon, and they've got a Togetic, so they can go for a huge farm down here. Honestly, I'd probably prefer if they just let this go through, but of course at this point they're going to probably start shielding. And yeah, this is just not great. I'm going to come in with my Dragapult, basically just force the opponent to throw their energy. They won't be able to farm me down here, so we are going to no-shield this, and then I'm just relying on Comma O with that Poison Jab damage to take them out before they make it to back-to-back charge moves, but I just don't see that happening. They did massively over-farm here, and they do make it to back-to-back Aerial Aces. We've seen already we can actually live this. We do live this. I thought the opponent was going to try and swap into their Diggersby straight away, so I throw the Dragon Claw there. I didn't need to do that. Instead, I could have just gone for the farm down. And you can see the opponent is actually able to farm me down now. We come in with the Dragapult, and unfortunately, they come out with a Fire Punch loaded. Fire Punch gets the KO, and we do lose that game. But GG's to up there into the next battle. Another Diggersby in the lead. They're going to say swap into Galar and Weezing. And again, very tricky for us. But we're going to come in with the Dragapult. They're going to fire off a Brutal Swing. And I'm hoping that we can just grab a shield with a Breaking Swipe, in all honesty. They might not know the moveset. This is a new Pokemon. And the opponent does end up shielding there. But this one, we're still in a lot of trouble here. So I'm going to shield another Brutal Swing. And we are going to fire off another Breaking Swipe here. As unfortunately, I can't really overfarm by much. But the opponent double shields their Galar and Weezing. At this point, that's huge for me, because this time we also drop their attack, meaning I can come in with my Comma O. These Fairy Winds, whilst they are double super effective, they're not going to do that much damage now, and the opponent is just going to fire off a charge move straight away. So either going to be a Brutal Swing or maybe a Sludge, but they go for the Brutal Swing there. We get the farm down. They come back in with the Diggersby, and this time we are going to go straight for the Close Combat. Close Combat does big damage, but unfortunately Diggersby is just so bulky, but they overfarm, allowing me to make it to a Brutal Swing. Brutal Swing will get the KO, and they've got a Toxapex in the bag, so it is actually just the exact same team once again. Not sure if like maybe a content creator made a video with this, I wouldn't be surprised. But either way, gonna go and fire off the Brutal Swing, and we are going to overfarm just slightly, firing off the next Brutal Swing. I was kind of hoping they would throw a charge move here, but instead they're committing to the full farm down. You can see I was trying to swap out there, but unfortunately get the perfect farm down. They come out with a Sludge Wave loaded. Sludge Wave gets the KO, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But GG's to opponent there, into next battle, you can see a Quagsire in the lead. So of course, going to stay in this matchup here. This time it's a non-shadow, so if they go for a Mud Bomb, it's going to do less damage than previously, but they might go for a Stone Edge here. So they have over-farmed. They farmed up to a potential Stone Edge. I'm going to no-shield either way, and they do full send the Stone Edge. So again, I'm going to, once we do take that damage, swap into my Dragapult, and they come in with a Frost Slash. Now this isn't actually that bad for us. Astonish is chunking. We don't get the debuff to their attack this time around, but I'm going to shield this anyways. phase. The opponent goes for an avalanche. I'm one away from the breaking swipe. Possibly could have committed to a full farm down, but instead gonna fire off the breaking swipe. Breaking swipe gets the KO. They come back in with the Quagsire, and I put them into poison jab farm down range. So gonna no shield, let the Aqua Tail take us out. Poison jab gets the farm down, and let's see, they're gonna have a Shadow Whiscash in the back. So interesting running AVA double Mud Boys, but either way, gonna shoot up the Mud Bomb here, and I should be able to make it to back-to-back close combats just before they make it to the next Mud Bomb. So close combat number 1 is no shielded. It does huge damage. We swap into Hydreigon here, basically just forcing the opponent to throw, and we put them into range where one poison jab gets the KO, and I'm able to take that game. So GG to opponent there, into next battle, another Quagsire in the lead. So it turns out if they're not running Diggersby in the lead, it's probably going to be a Quagsire. There's honestly, like, even though there are so many Pokemon you can use in this meta, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of variety so far. Again, they go for the Stone Edge. This time they're going to swap into a Galarian Stunfisk. So okay, this is the first time we're seeing Stunfisk. We're going to swap into Dragapult because, of course, whilst we have a fighting type Pokemon in the back, it's running Poison Jab as the fast move, which is triple resisted by the Steel and Ground typing. So instead we come in with the Dragapult. I knew that was just going to be a Rock Side, but we are very glassy. Gonna fire off the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball is gonna be shielded, but luckily for me, because Mudshot did get nerfed this season, it does take 6 Mudshots to make it to a Rock Side. But actually gonna swap out there, swapping back into the Quagsire. We're able to make it to the Breaking Swipe, and Breaking Swipe is gonna grab a shield, but the opponent overfarms too much, or maybe they're running Aqua Tail, I don't know. But either way, Breaking Swipe gets the KO. The opponent is going to come back in with the Stunfisk, and we get the Astonished farm down once again, and they've got a Charger Bug in the back, and this is looking amazing for me. Both my Dragapults and my Kommo-o completely wall this thing, and actually even if they're running Crunch, Kommo-o will resist that. So we've also debuffed their attack. There's nothing they can do anymore. They go for the Exit. That does very little damage, and since I'm running Close Combat, might as well go for the BM. Close Combat gets the KO, and I'm able to take that game. So GG to opponent there, into next battle, you can see Hydreigon into Toxapex. So we've seen a lot of Toxapex, not in the lead though, so this is going to be slightly different here. We are going to throw a Charge Move just before the opponent makes it to the potential Sludge Wave. Brutal Swing is going to be shielded by the opponent. Once again, opponents respecting the damage from Hydreigon. I mean, we do a lot of damage, but not enough to threaten a shield from a Toxapex, I'd have thought. But either way, going to come in with the Dragapult. They're just going to go for a Brine this time around. And once both moves are resisted, honestly, a Sludge Wave probably would threaten a shield. But they're now going to swap into Clefable. Not great for us, but we've got such a big energy advantage that we can go for a Shadow Ball straight away. And this is just going to be a Swift. So I'm actually going to no shield. A bit risky. If they're running like double Fairies, then I am definitely in trouble here. But let's see. The opponent's going to come in with a Gastrodon. So I'm going to make it to back-to-back charge moves. But I'm going to wait for them to throw here because they throw it on poor timing. Going to shoot up the Body Slam. I'm not certain that I would make it to back-to-back close combats. So instead, going to go for the Dragon Claw bait, grabbing the shield, and then firing off a close combat here. And close combat is going to land for big damage here. We're going to see the opponent's going to throw a charge move. This is going to be a Body Slam. And this one I'm thinking I can farm them down here, but we actually didn't get that farm down. We took one more Mud Slap's worth of damage, and unfortunately that puts me into Poison Jab farm down range. I thought the Toxapex was lower in HP than it was. And unfortunately, we do end up losing that game. Whereas if I actually just threw the Breaking Swipe straight away, Toxapex was energy dry. So despite being fairly low, I should have been able to resist the Poison Jab damage and make it to another Breaking Swipe to get the KO. So definitely a winnable game, but GG's to that opponent there. And into the next battle, we can see a Blossom. And of course, they could be running Dazzling Gleam. They put full sense the Dazzling Gleam there. At this point, I could have possibly committed to a full Dragon Breath farm down. But I can't remember how many Bullet Seeds it takes to get to the second Dazzling Gleam. So instead, I just play it safe. We're going to swap into Dragapult. I don't even know what happened there. I think they like tried to come in with a Ghost type Pokemon and then came in with the Bronzong. I just like instinctively swapped out there, which was kind of a mistake, but it worked out for me. So GG's to that opponent there, into next battle, and unfortunately we're seeing Steelix, possibly one of the worst Pokemon we could see. They are running Breaking Swipe as well, which is very unfortunate. So I'm going to go for a Booster Swing. I need this to connect. It does connect, which is nice, but it doesn't really do that much damage. We're now going to come in with the Dragapult, and I will be able to make it to back-to-back Breaking Swipes as they're reaching the next Breaking Swipe. So that's pretty good for me. I could maybe grab a shield here. If I do grab a shield, honestly, I'd probably prefer that, just because I can grab a second shield straight away, but the opponent actually makes a very nice catch, catching the next Breaking Swipe onto Whiscash, and unfortunately that does not debuff the Whiscash, so we're going to take some decent damage here. I still can't really afford to shield this. So we're going to let that go through, and we will farm up and throw a charge move on the CMP tie, going for close combat. Close combat is going to be no shielded by the opponent. They're probably going to come back in with the Steelix, and they do come back in with the Steelix. But I go for the extra poison jab here, realizing they're going to throw straight away, and then the opponent makes a nice catch once again, catching a Dragon Claw onto Serena. Honestly, I probably should have swapped out before that, but yeah, we're just in an awkward situation where they should just be able to fully fast move, farm me down with resisted fast move damage, and unfortunately they are able to do so, and we do lose that game. But GG's to opponent there into next battle. You can see a Galarian Weezing in the lead, but they're actually running Tackle as the fast move, and that is way better for me. And then they come in with a Lantern, so honestly, this is looking way better than any previous battles that we've seen a Galarian Weezing in, at least. We're going to go for the Breaking Swipe. Breaking Swipe does not get the debuff, but it doesn't really matter. We're still able to make it to the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball connects. It does huge damage there. The opponent will fire off a Charge Move, and even a resisted Thunderbolt does a lot of damage there. You get the Astonish Farm down, and let's see what the opponent wants to do. They're going to come in with a Galarian Stunfisk. I don't think I'm making it to a Shadow Ball, so I settle for the Breaking Swipe. And Breaking Swipe grabs a shield anyways, and that should wrap this game up here. We can come in with the Hydreigon. All I have to do is not use my shields here, because Hydreigon's still not going to have a very good time up against the Weezing, but Combo O is going to take neutral damage from those tackles. Of course, we can just fire off a Close Combat, and Close Combat, it is going to permanently debuff my defense here, but it doesn't really matter. Close Combat gets the KO. Actually, we could technically swap out if we wanted to, but we're not going to need to. The opponent is running Sludge, so interesting moveset on this Weezing. I am wondering if maybe they just built this Pokemon and forgot to actually use TMs to get the right moves, but either way, we're going to fire off a Close Combat here. Close Combat is double resisted. It doesn't get the KO, but one more Poison Jab does the job, and I'm able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.